In the heart of a remote desert town, where the relentless sun beat down on the barren land, there stood an eerie old mansion unlike any other. Its ancient walls, battered by the merciless elements, loomed ominously over the desolate landscape. Its interior's gloomy darkness screamed of unknown horrors, while weathered stones carved with enigmatic patterns appeared to conceal sinister secrets. This abandoned estate wasn't just any ordinary house. It was a place shrouded in fear and mystery, where the boundaries between the natural and paranormal dissolved. It was a place where the history was full with chilling tales that could make even the most courageous people shudder. The locals had looked on the home with a mix of morbid fascination and horror for years. They believed it to be cursed, a wretched monument that harbored malevolent forces, especially when night descended upon the land. Local folklore told of ominous happenings, reports of evil apparitions, and eerie voices crying out in the dead of night. Yet, as time inexorably pushed the town into the modern era, the old stories and superstitions gradually faded away. The mansion was abandoned to decay with the unrelenting passage of time and became a forgotten remnant of the past. However, one ominous evening, as the sun cast long, eerie shadows across the town, a stranger arrived. He was alone and shrouded in mystery. His name was Zayan. Dressed in ragged clothing that mirrored the desolation of the mansion, he had come from distant lands in search of something far deeper than the ordinary world could offer. Drawn by the whispers of long-lost secrets and hidden knowledge, Zayan had arrived in this forsaken town, a seeker on a quest for answers that had been buried beneath layers of time and terror. The villagers were aware of his approach, and their eyes betrayed a basic fear of the unknown as they regarded him with a mixture of mistrust and terror. The goal of Zayan was evident. He was an authority on the occult and an obsessive seeker of hidden knowledge buried deep within the annals of time. He started to solve the town's most sinister riddles, his resolve visible in every step. He went in search of the town's elders, those rare individuals who still had vivid memories of days gone by and who could have terrible tales to tell about the mansion's tragic past. Zayan pieced together the tapestry that concealed the mansion's terrible past with the help of each frightening tale they told. One moonless night, driven by an insatiable thirst for the supernatural, Zayan ventured to the mansion alone. He carried with him an ancient tome, its pages adorned with cryptic incantations and intricate symbols, pages that seemed to pulse with an otherworldly power. Stepping over the threshold of the shadowed structure, he knew he was teetering on the brink of revelation. With hands that trembled with a mix of trepidation and excitement, Zayan ignited a circle of candles. On the weathered stones of the mansion, their swaying flames produced unsettling, twirling shadows. The air grew heavy with an otherworldly tension, as though the very atmosphere held its breath in dreadful anticipation. Zayan began to recite the incantations from the ancient tome, a chorus of words that were both arcane and mesmerizing. The flames of the candles swayed with an almost creepy intensity. A chilly wind rustled through the mansion, rattling the corroded windows and stirring up long-forgotten echoes. In the darkness, a pair of eyes materialized, radiating an unholy malevolence, an eerie luminescence that seemed to pierce the soul. It was a DJinn, an infernal creature of ancient lore and boundless malevolence, one that had long awaited a traveler like Zayan, a seeker whose insatiable curiosity could be harnessed to break its infernal chains. The demonic Jinn made menacing promises of supernatural strength, secrecy, and control over both the living and the dead's realms. Its sinister, alluring words snared Zayan's attention and drew him further into the void of the unknown. When the ritual had reached its pinnacle, Zayan gave the DJinn his most prized possession, his insatiable curiosity. In that fateful moment, As their essences merged and became entwined, a diabolical covenant was sealed, a malevolent pact between a scholar whose quest for enlightenment knew no bounds and a demon Jinn yearning for release. With Zayan now the willing vessel for the Jinn's malevolence, a reign of terror descended upon the forsaken town, a terror born of ancient darkness and unrestrained malevolence. It began insidiously, like creeping tendrils of shadow that slithered into the collective psyche of the townspeople. Zayan, the possessed student, took delight in using his newfound abilities for evil. With a mere whisper, he could bend the will of the townspeople to his malefic desires, twisting their thoughts and desires until they were but marionettes dancing to his sinister tune. Their eyes took on the same unholy glow that had ensnared Zayan, and they became instruments in the Jinn's macabre orchestration, a nightmarish performance conducted by an unseen, malevolent hand. Night after night, the possessed townspeople committed unspeakable acts of violence and depravity, their once peaceful town transformed into a grotesque realm of horror and madness. Families were torn apart, lives were shattered beyond repair, and the innocence that had once graced the town was irrevocably extinguished by the inexorable tide of darkness. Those who remained untouched by the malevolent force lived in a state of perpetual dread and paranoia, their nights haunted by the chilling murmurs of the possessed and the eerie laughter that echoed through their dreams. Desperation gripped the town like a vice, and its surviving residents turned to the forsaken rituals and traditions they had long abandoned. They looked to the town's elders for advice since they were the keepers of lore and rites that the rest of the world had long since forgotten. Together, they embarked on a perilous journey that would lead them to the interior of the cursed mansion, the source of the evil energy that had devoured their town's formerly tranquil population. Armed with sacred scrolls adorned with mystic symbols and blessed talismans that had withstood the test of time, they ventured forth, resolute in their mission to confront the demon Jinn and free Zayan from its infernal grasp. The demon Jinn had been originally roused from its eternal anguish at the mansion, and their route brought them back there. With a profound sense of trepidation, they entered the accursed structure, the air laden with an oppressive, otherworldly energy that clung to their very souls. Inside, they found Zayan, his countenance twisted and contorted, his eyes vacant and soulless. He stood at the mansion's epicenter, a grotesque puppet of the demon Jinn, his essence consumed by darkness. The Jinn's malevolence permeated the entire chamber, an aura of torment and fury. The ensuing conflict was a contest of wills between the people of the town's collective faith and commitment and the demon Jinn's limitless malice. They recited ancient incantations, their voices trembling with the weight of centuries of belief, and invoked the protective symbols that had safeguarded their ancestors. As the ritual reached its zenith, the very foundations of the mansion trembled, and the demon Jinn's grip on Zayan faltered. The evil force howled in pain, its ethereal form writhing and convulsing as though trying to escape the long-forgotten bonds. With one final, anguished scream, the demon Jinn was banished, its malevolent presence torn asunder by the power of faith and the indomitable resilience of the townsfolk. Zayan, liberated from the entity's malefic hold, collapsed to the ground, his body frail and battered, his spirit shattered. The townspeople rushed to his side, their relief palpable. The accursed mansion, once a dwelling of darkness, was now cleansed of its malevolent presence. The town was now free from the evil energy that had threatened to swallow it after the demon Jinn's reign of terror had been put an end. Nevertheless, the Jinn's terror reign left lasting wounds. Families remained torn apart, lives lay in ruins, and the innocence that had once graced the town had been forever extinguished. Zayan, tormented by the darkness he had inadvertently unleashed, made the solemn choice to leave the town behind, embarking on a solitary journey in search of redemption for the sins of his past. The desolate town, although marked by profound wounds, began the slow process of healing. Its surviving residents returned to their humble lives, forever changed by the horrors they had witnessed. The cursed mansion, which had previously represented fear, now stood as a symbol of tenacity and the perseverance of the human spirit. But the memory of that fateful night, when a scholar's insatiable thirst for knowledge had roused a demon Jinn, would forever linger in the town's collective memory, a haunting reminder that certain enigmas were best left untouched and that the boundary between the mortal realm and the abyss was a threshold that should never be crossed. The mansion stood as a lone sentinel over the years, its broken windows and deteriorating walls bearing witness to the evil that may seep into a person's spirit. And on moonless nights, when the wind whispered through the forsaken mansion's desolate halls, some claimed to hear faint echoes of chilling incantations and distant, anguished cries, an unsettling testament to the fragile boundary that separated the mortal realm from the abyss.